Today, I share my secrets on how you can afford to travel way more than you think you can. Hey, what's going on? I'm FamiLei, and on this channel we help each other make financial and lifestyle decisions. So if that floats your boat, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Travel doesn't have to break the bank, and I'm gonna dish out some tips on how you can save money on your next trip. This video is mainly targeted to people who have a tight budget or a limited time to travel. Maybe you work that 9 to 5 and you only get 2 vacation weeks a year, and that's all the time that you have. You also might not be location independent and you just want to go out and adventure for a bit. So with that being said, I won't cover topics that help you travel for longer periods of time, such as working on a cruise ship, woofing, or working abroad like teaching English. Alright, so tip number 1 is to simply save money. On my last backpacking trip, I traveled with someone who basically borrowed money from their parents to travel. But this is kind of stressful because when you go back home, you're gonna have to work and pay them off. You want a pool of money that's yours to actually travel. So to help with this, you can automatically transfer money from your checkings to your travel fund, be it $100, $200, $300 a month. Take this travel money and store it in preferably a high yield savings account. A couple of these include Marcus, Ally, or your local credit union. And dedicate this bank account to domestic and international travel. If travel is something that you value, your actions have to reflect that value. Tip number 2 is to consider traveling within your country. People are drawn to international travel to immerse themselves in a different culture, climate, and environment. But chances are your country has different pockets that are vastly different from each other. Take the United States for example. From the East Coast to the West Coast, from north to south, from city to country, it's vastly different in the people, culture, views, and geographic terrain. Within your own country, you can road trip by car, visit friends in other cities, and even save money in hostels in some of the more popular cities. Solo travel, no biggie. To help you reminisce on one of your favorite domestic travels, go ahead and comment down below your favorite memory and where it was at. Tip number 3 is to be flexible with your dates and destination of travel. Next week I'm going to give a more thorough guide specifically on flights, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're notified. Generally, traveling in December, January, or the summer will be much more expensive than if you travel in any other time of the year. And as you can probably guess, that's when the holidays are and when school breaks are. So kids are off from schools and universities, and because those people are free, parents will take time off and travel with them. And you may not have flexibility. You might actually be in school, in university or grad school like myself, so you won't have that many options. Just be prepared to shelve out a bit more money because you are less flexible. There are many resources that send you awesome flight deals. A couple examples of this are Airfare Watchdog, you can follow them on Twitter, and Scott's Cheap Flights. And you can have these companies send you emails about awesome flight deals from wherever you are. Another tip is to choose a destination where your money goes further. So places that are great to travel in are Southeast Asia and South America, because the value of your money is much stronger than their currency. Another tip that I'm a huge fan of is to carry just one bag. Having 2 just hurts you financially because you're gonna have to check in one of those bags every single time you're on a flight. For liquids, make sure you keep it under 3.4 milliliters. And keep in mind, for sunscreen or bug spray, you can always buy it at the country of destination. Plus, only having one carry-on bag makes it so much quicker to just go in and out of the airport. You don't have to wait for your checked bag. Another tip to save money is to travel with friends. You can split the cost on your accommodation, your Airbnbs, your ride sharing, such as Uber or Lyft. And bargaining becomes much easier if you're buying multiple items than just one item. Another tip that I personally wish I knew earlier is to have a no foreign transaction fee credit card. One thing that got me was that I booked hostels in Southeast Asia with a regular credit card, and I got charged with a foreign transaction fee every single time. And in general, credit cards have sign-up bonuses that you can use towards travel, so your flights can be just purchased for free. A card that I'm going to recommend is the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and I will place my referral link down in the description box. Huge amounts of money can be saved through accommodation. So I personally am a fan of hostels instead of hotels because they're cheaper and because of the social aspect. If you want to have a place for free, I would recommend you look up Couchsurf, and you basically just crash with a person who lives in your destination. If you're traveling for longer, it's a good idea to book Airbnbs after a couple days of a hostel to help you recharge and have some peace and quiet. In general, my hostel experiences have been great, but it really depends on the people that you're sharing a room with. In some countries, quiet and respect will be a bit more prevalent than in other countries. In Japan, you may have hostels with 30 pods, so 30 people sleeping in just a single room. But because of the culture in Japan, and that if you're in a 30-person room, you're more cognizant of everyone else around you that could be sleeping, people tend to be quieter. And unfortunately, sometimes you'll have very noisy and obnoxious roommates. A good way to avoid this is to just book the rooms with even less beds, so with 6, 4 beds, or even your private room. A tip for booking as you go for longer periods of time is to book the first couple of days when you land in that country, but then as you travel and go on your journey, book your hostels as you go, and this allows you more flexibility on what regions you'll be traveling to, and if you gain recommendations, you can completely change your itinerary. With transportation, consider taking public transportation. This is usually the cheapest way to get around a city or between cities. For more tailored transportation, look up ride-sharing apps. Now, not every single city or country uses Uber and Lyft, so be sure to do your research and to figure out exactly what apps you need to install. For example, Southeast Asia uses Grab, and in Europe, BlaBlaCar. So for public transportation, there's the subway in New York City, metro in DC, buses that go between cities, trains that take you around Europe, and many other means of transportation. For max flexibility and for pretty affordable prices, go ahead and rent mopeds. Now this really depends country by country. In Southeast Asia, you'll spend $5 to rent a scooter for the entire day. You can get a free lesson and have the option to travel anywhere you want for the entire day, which is really cool. Another way to save money is to venture off the beaten path. Now touristy places are touristy for a reason, but some of them simply are just overhyped. And you can save a lot more money by going to an alternative place, because a lot of the touristy places will have restaurants, sellers that just inflate the prices of their items. These tourist traps can be a nightmare for your wallet. I recommend you talk to other travelers and local people to gain recommendations. To save money on food, eat the local cuisine. If you go international, ordering Western food is going to be a lot more expensive than eating the country's regular food. For instance, in Thailand, you will pay $2 for a pad thai, but then if you want chicken waffle fries, they're gonna be like $10. If you have the option, you can also go to the grocery store, buy food, and make it yourself. To save money on drinks, it's much cheaper to buy a bottle and split it with your friends at the hostel than to just go out and buy shots. Plus, sharing a drink will be a great way to get to know your hostel mates. Another tip is to bring your student ID. There are so many discounts for students across the world. Even if it's technically expired, if it doesn't show the expiration date, bring it. And my final tip is to value your experience there than the things you buy. I personally don't buy souvenirs. Not only will buying souvenirs drain your wallet, but they'll also take up space in your pack. If you do want to buy souvenirs, I'd recommend you buy like postcards, very small, so that you can easily pack it away. Another thing that you can purchase is to buy clothing at the destination place. Not only is the clothing more suitable for that climate, but you can wear those clothes, and then once you go back home, you can just give it to your friends or family. So those are my tips on how you can travel on a budget in 2019. Comment down below the vacation place that you want to travel to next. Be sure to hit subscribe and like this video. Alright, thanks for watching. Peace. Be simple with the dope ass beat and get the mic check. All the levels right.